Time the 49ers Rush Podcast. And here's your host, John Chapman.
What is going on, 49ers fan? Welcome to another live edition of the 49ers Rush Podcast. And man, I don't know. We had Kyle Shanahan's pre-practice, pre-training camp press conference this morning. And I'm not going to lie, I don't think I've ever seen him this happy. I had never seen him smile so much. I never saw him give so many positive answers to maybe non-positive questions. There's something in the air in Santa Clara. And my goal today is to kind of capture and channel that in a much more organized manner. So we're going to get some clips. We've got a lot of clips. I want to hear from a lot of people so that we can get this kind of overall feel from the 49ers training camp so far in 2022. It just seems like things are going really well. We're getting a lot of questions answered at different personnel spots, at different where everybody's at, how things are flowing in a positive direction. I freaking love it, man. What's up, JD? He says, working from home today, can finally catch it live, man. I love it. Hopefully I don't mess up your productivity too much. But want to give a shout out to all of the hashtag CCs, man. Remember, we are giving away a free Trent Williams jersey to whomever can get the most CCs, make it to the most live shows in this week. Now that's going to end on Tuesday. So if you've missed some shows, that's okay. You still have an opportunity to get in there. The hashtag CC, as part of our countdown crew, easy way to show support for the channel. Just hit that notification bell. And anytime we go live, you get a notification, jump on, throw your hashtag CC, get you entered in a lot of giveaways. We're also going to be giving away some more tickets to training camp in the upcoming episodes. And just another scheduling thing that I want to bring up. We're doing something a little bit different today. We are dropping a premiere episode. If you've caught any of our 49ers Rush originals, that's with all the insane editing and graphics and overlays and background music and all that stuff. We did one on Nick Bosa. We did one on Trey Lance. Today, we're talking Friday, right? At 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we're dropping a Debo episode that we spent a lot of time on that I think you're really going to enjoy. It involves tape, highlights, breakdowns, analytics. It's kind of something we're doing differently. So I'm going to be in the audience with you at 3:30 Pacific time today. So catch that. And again, if you just go to our channel and scroll down on YouTube, you'll see it there. Does Debo fit in? And then also we have an extra live bonus show tomorrow for Patreon members. And so that's going to be at 3:30 p.m. for all of our Steve Young tier and up. So come catch. That's going to be with the 49ers Rush Cutback guys. They're at training camp now. They're going to be there tomorrow as well. So fresh off the field, we're going to be getting instant analysis. It's going to be a great time. So if you haven't checked that out yet, go to patreon.com/49ers Rush Podcast. And again, get those hashtag CCs in there, baby. Now, before we turn all rosy like my cheeks, let's talk a little bit about some negatives. Jordan Matthews. Found out, he comes out of practice 2 days ago on crutches, and sure enough, tore his ACL. That's going to end his year. And sadly, I don't like to conjecture too much, but he was kind of on in his last program of his career, probably. Hasn't really been activated in several years. This might do it for him. Now, what I hope happens is that he is brought onto the coaching staff. You remember, this is the same guy that they sent to go to Trey Lance's workout because he's just such a positive impact on the locker room, positive guy, intelligent guy. Really been a fan of Jordan Matthews, even though we haven't seen him play during game days a lot. He's still incredible. And so that's one of the things that, kind of hurts for sure. But again, it's an injury that happens at a position where we already had another injury because you have Charlie Warner, who's out with that core muscle surgery. Now you add Jordan Matthews. The good news is the 49ers seem to have insulated the entire roster to developing depth. And so you brought in Tyler Kroft, you brought in Troy Fumagalli, you brought in Tanner Hudson, you still got Roz Dwelly. So the injury hurts. Yeah, I'm not trying to downplay that, and it sucks more personally for Jordan Matthews, who's a great man. But these repeated injuries, we've got injuries at defensive tackle. Now we've got injuries at tight end. I would like those to stop. I really, really would. Now, I want to focus on the offensive side for a minute, okay? Most of this episode is going to be offense because a lot of the question marks that we had coming into training camp this year were on the offensive side. What's up, Shell Shock? Glad to have you here, man. Appreciate you. So questions are getting answered. We didn't know what was going to happen at the interior offensive line. That's starting to be finalized. We weren't sure what's going to happen with the running back rotation. That's starting to be finalized. Corey, I love this. Thoughts on all of the interior offensive line that were recently worked out? Are they trying to add depth, or do they want something else to challenge Burford at that right guard spot? Well, let's go through it, and let's allow – great question, Corey. Let's allow them to talk. Let's allow the 49ers to answer this question. And we're going to start with the best offensive lineman, perhaps best football player in the freaking NFL, and that's Trent Williams, who has taken a mentor role with Spencer Burford, the rookie who's got every single first-team snap at right guard since training camp started, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So here's Trent talking about Burford.
I don't know if him working out with me got him in the first team. I think that work was done in OTAs. He gave coaches a lot of faith in his ability. He gave him confidence. But one thing I noticed about Spence just from early on is that he's just so confident. It's almost like, he don't really know the bad things that could happen. And that's when, for us, even myself, if I get beat, that one play could last for a year or so because I might make one alteration just thinking about that one last play. And obviously, hindsight, that's the wrong way to look at it. And so I was just impressed about him and how confident he was in using his technique, how explosive he was, how he played with good hands, good body position. So I knew he would be a great player. Obviously, working him in the starting lineup, I think he's deserved that. He's worked pretty hard for it. And, I'm rooting for him. I'm in his corner every step of the way.
He's special. And whenever you have somebody like Trent in your corner, that is awesome. And Burford, I mean, golly, we've done extensive work on him on Patreon. If you're a Patreon member, just type in Spencer Burford in our channel little search box and you'll get some of his film. If you're not on Patreon, just go on YouTube and type in Spencer Burford roster. And you can see our roster countdown series. He's the first one that pulls up. We did a 10-minute video just on his background, who he is, what he does. It'll be the first video that pulls up. I had him at number 59 of our roster countdown, and this was right after minicamp. I was too low on him. I'll admit that. I'm wrong a lot. I'm right sometimes, but I was too low on him. But if you want the solid information on who he is, what he brings, what he's been through, all those different things, that's going to be a tremendous resource to catch up with who Spencer Burford is. Now, let's hear from the head coach, right? Because he's got all of his snaps at right guard, but you got Daniel Brunskill on the roster as well. And guess what? Daniel Brunskill started every single game, all 20 games. Freaking dude's an Iron Man at right guard. So he started 20 games, including the playoff run, right? The 17 plus the 3 at right guard. So what's going on with that starting right guard spot, and does he know anything? Check out this. This was from a few days ago, but I think it's important.
He's got a shot. Yeah, I think a number of guys have shots, but those are things I don't try not to think about too much right now. I don't, because it's the second day. We haven't even put pads on. I don't try to get too excited about guys yet. You just try to take it day by day because there's a lot of football to be played, and especially that we haven't even put the pads on yet. So he's done a good job in everything we asked. A number of the guys have. There's a lot of names in there I think you guys don't know, but or that the fans probably don't know, but there's a lot of candidates who've got the ability to do it, and now got to see who can handle the marathon of camp and who's poised enough to handle those real games.
And so if we're looking at the names that fans do know, right? Most fans know Daniel Brunskill. Most fans now know Spencer Burford. Who's the other name that fans perhaps don't know? And it's not even a draft pick. If you look at who's been getting all the backup snaps at right guard, remember, Daniel Brunskill has received 0 snaps in training camp at right guard. All of his work's been at center. We'll talk about that in a minute. But if we're sticking with, okay, who are the guys we don't know that Shanahan alluded to? That's Jason Poe. Jason Poe, undrafted free agent out of Mercer, has been incredible. And again, what do Spencer Burford and Jason Poe have in common? It's Trent Williams. Trent Williams extends an invite, and he'll talk about this in this next clip, to several offensive linemen to go down to Houston and work out with him and Adrian Peterson. Well, 2 linemen took him up on it. Guess which 2? Spencer Burford and Jason Poe.
Like I said before, I've seen a lot in Poe. I've seen his athleticism, seen his work ethic, I've seen how serious he takes the game. He was a long shot, and I think he understands that as well, and you can see it in his work ethic. But to bring him down there, I always leave it as an open-ended invitation, and, him and Spence took me up on it. So both of them came out to Houston for like that last month or so, and, they worked their butts off, man. I think the whole coaching staff can tell. You can look at Poe, you can look at Spence, and you see, that they work. Not saying it's going to make them a better football player, because we wasn't playing football. We was just, working and showing them, giving them the blueprint of how to be ready for camp. But I think if you're physically ready, you got half the battle done. So
there you go. And so the players that could emulate and work out with and transform their bodies with the best linemen in the NFL, guess what? It pays dividends. The people that want to go out there and fight and work and develop, you're going to see positives. There's no doubt about that. What's up, Nick? I appreciate this. Just came across the line. The 49ers announced that they have waived wide receiver Tazier Mack from Pitt, which is interesting. One, I had Tazier Mack number 80 on our roster countdown, which he was a fun watch, but I don't think the 49ers are even going to keep 6. And I had Tazier Mack like 8 or 9 on just the wide receivers. I think they're only going to keep 5. Usually they keep 6. I think only 5. So we'll see here. And now is the time where, all right, let's start seeing if we can build a whole bunch of candidates that we could pull in if there's an emergency. Now, whoever they bring in, probably not going to make the roster, but you've got to get these guys somewhat familiar with the system. So if doomsday happens, whole room catches COVID like we've seen in the past, or, 3 to 4 injuries happen, you have guys that can come in. So you're going to start seeing a lot of turnover. And not to say that this is the last Tazier Mack will be with the 49ers. You don't know the situation. And so anyway, something to keep kind of abreast there. So back to our offensive line and the right guard. It seems to be kind of channeled out to where you're going to have Spencer Burford starting. Poe, I don't know. Another name that you got to talk about is Nick Sakiel, the other rookie, 5th-round rookie out of Fordham, who I'm very, very high on. He's been taking all the backup snaps at left guard. Could he be that swing guard guy? Now, he hasn't gotten reps at right guard yet, but I think that could change. I think that's something that definitely could change. Now, let's transition to the left guard spot. The one that we thought was fulfilled last year in the draft in the 2nd round with Aaron Banks. We never saw it last year. But again, the 49ers are telling us something. When the exact same player has taken all of the first team reps at the same position throughout the entirety of training camp, that is a very clear message. Very clear message. And here's back to Trent, who is the captain and leader of this entire line and who will be lining up next to Aaron Banks, talking about the difference between Banks last year, 2021, and Banks this year, 2022.
Banks is really showing out this camp. I really think he's one of the better linemen right now when you look in the group who's really bringing it this camp. I think he started by OTAs, by showing up and being noticeably different. Then he followed it up with another good 4 weeks after OTAs. Now he's in camp, and he's noticeably different. He's still a young player. Mistakes still are going to happen, but his jump from year 1 to year 2 gives everybody a lot of confidence in him.
There we go. And that says a lot. We just talked about Tazier Mack being released, it looks like from Clayton, the man behind the scenes that crushes it all the time, Willie Snead is somebody that is going to be brought in for a workout. Doesn't mean that he'll be, the guy that comes in, but looks like they're looking for a little bit more veteran presence in that offensive line on the back end. So we'll have to see what that looks like. Now, so we got Banks at left guard. We've got Burford at right guard. That means we've got a little bit of a battle at center with Jake Brendel and Daniel Brunskill, the Iron Man himself. And I will continue to reiterate this. Daniel Brunskill starting somewhere week 1 for the 49ers. There's no doubt about it. Like, he's going to be starting somewhere. And it seems like that spot is going to be in the first team with the center position, which he started 8 games with. If you go back to 2020, he started his first 8 games at guard. At guard. Then he moved 8 games to center. Then in 2021, he moved right back to right guard. And Kyle was asked about that this morning. And I feel like this answer was very, very worded correctly. Kyle tells a lot by the way he answers this question.
Spencer he's done a great job. I mean, he's got all the skill set to do it. So it's about getting the reps and getting used to going against our D-line and just doing it down in and down out at this level. But he's got the ability to do it at a high level. When you talk about Brunskill, I mean, Brunskill's been there for the last couple of years. We know what Dan can do. Everyone's got to prove themselves, definitely, but getting Dan a ton of reps isn't always going to help him. He needs to get to the season healthy as good as he can, and we also want to make sure he's getting more reps at center because that's what he's had less of in the past couple of years.
We know what he can do, and so if worst comes to worst, we can move him there. But again, it's all about getting your best 5, right? And right here, Kali, Brunny wasn't good at center in 2020. You're not wrong. I will also argue Brunskill hasn't been great at guard either. Now, and again, it depends on what you evaluate. Kyle Shanahan evaluates run game first, pass game second. That is the most important thing. That is the most important thing. And so how is he going to get his run game to what he wants? Jake Brendel, he's incredible. And I'm not trying to, like, athleticism wise, I'm not trying to knock him. But again, I truly do believe the best 5 is with Brunskill at center. The best depth is with Brunskill at center. Because if you rotate, let's say you put Brunskill at right guard and Brendel gets hurt at center. Now you got to change 2 positions. Continuity on the offensive line is very, very important. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But you could say retroactively, same thing. Let's say Brunskill starting center, Burford starting right guard. Burford gets hurt. Now you move Brunskill to right guard, bring in Brendel. You're changing 2 positions as well. So I get that argument as well. He's had some bad shotgun snaps already in training camp. Yeah, he hasn't played there in a year. And I think that's a big reason why the emphasis has been on getting Brunskill work at center in training camp. Bad snaps, that's a rough one, man. If you've got the bad snaps and they continue to be an issue, that's something you got to watch. That's something you got to make sure that you get. And that's why they're doing it now. Maybe Brunskill proves, hey, this ain't the right spot for me. Now the question was asked, okay, well, there's a lot of free agent centers out there. JC Treader, right? Nick Martin. There's guys out there that you could step in. And that was asked of Kyle this morning. What are the possibilities of going out and getting one of these free agent centers to come in and compete?
Well, very good with the people in our building. When you talk about a veteran stuff, which everyone does, that just means, it's always a lot easier when you've seen someone do it for 16 games or 17 games. But no one does do that till you give them the opportunity. We see in practice every day now. We saw it last year that we have guys in our building who are definitely capable of it. Now it's about getting into those games, and we'll try to give them some experience in preseason. But you show it in practice, but our O-line coach says it all the time. You don't know if an O-lineman can play until he gets his ass kicked in a game, because it's going to happen. It's going to happen a lot. And then how do you come back the next week? Are you rattled? Do you kind of hide, or do you rise to the occasion and learn how to deal with it? And that's really, to me, what playing O-line is in the NFL. And you don't know that till you give those guys those opportunities. But you got to believe in what the person's made of. And we got the guys athletically, and I also think we got the character in this room to handle those situations.
Yeah, I think it's huge right there that what he said, And this happens, people want to say like offensive line play or whatever. They get 70 plus snaps a game. And so you're going to get beat in the NFL. There's just too much talent on the defensive line. Now, the good news for the 49ers, look at the first 2 weeks. You got the Chicago Bears, nothing really special on the defensive line group. Obviously, they got what's his name on the outside who got all the sacks, and that's great. But we're talking interior offensive line play, right? Not much to worry about with the Bears, not much to worry about with Seattle week 2. So they're going to have time. Now, the issue is this. He said, you don't know who you are till you get beat and how you respond the next game, which tells you it's going to be a slow hook. So if an offensive lineman, whether that's Banks, whether that's, Brunskill, whether that's Burford. Oh, look at that. We got the 3 Bs in the middle. I didn't even notice that. Look at that. I like that. The 3 Bs in the middle. I'm going to start a shirt. But even if they have bad week, what he just said, he has to see how they respond. So that tells you they don't have a bad game. They're not getting pulled. That's not who Shanahan is anyway. Loyalty to players and continuity is very, very important to him. So not only do we think these 3 Bs are going to be our starters on the inside, they're going to get a little bit of length of rope to go out there. So that scares me a little bit, but I do like the way that the schedule has shaken out to where you do have these 2 first games to go out there against very subprime teams, very, very bad teams. Oh, look at Kelly, the Killer Bees, baby. That's right. I hope that they live up to that name. Banks, Brunskill, and Burford. Oh, I like it, man. The old 1990 Astros coming in hot over there, man. I hate the Astros. But anyway, back to this interior offensive line play. I think we've got, betting man, which I am. I think we've got it kind of situated. I really, really do. And I think our starting 5 offensive line, Trent Williams left, right? Banks left guard. You've got center, Brunskill. You've got Burford right guard. And you got McGlinchey, who came back way earlier than expected. The 49ers offensive line, I think, is pretty much settled in their current situation. Now, maybe somebody shines, but just from the snaps that they're getting, the blocking Bs. I love it, Big Papa. Keep coming with these nicknames on the 3 Bs on the inside. I love it, man. We're going to, let's brainstorm this bad boy out right now. Now, let's go to another position and talk about something else that's being solidified. The running back rotation. And, if you would have asked me before mini camps and all those things, even before the draft or whatever, it didn't matter. We knew Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell ain't changing. He's number 1, and he's going to be number 1. But before we jump to number 2, 3, and those guys behind him, Shanahan was asked to kind of critique Elijah Mitchell last year. And I thought that this was telling because Mitchell had a great rookie year, obviously, but he did leave some meat on the bone. And Shanahan kind of talked about one of the issues with Elijah Mitchell and his running style.
Elijah is such an efficient runner. I mean, he doesn't mess around at all. I mean, he's going downhill. He creates edges on people, and he's trying to go through people every play, which is why we like him so much. When you do that and you're committed to that, sometimes you do leave some yards out there where you could have a little bit of a bigger play. But that's, I think, also why he has such a good yards per carry. But when you go out and you evaluate everything and you watch all the runs that you had, when you get a bunch of them, you do see places you can improve. And he had a couple big runs that could have been bigger. And I think that's what his goal is. He has the 40 to do it. But he runs like he's a 230-pound big back, which is what makes him such a good runner. So it's trying not to lose what has got him here, and then just add other elements to his game that his body's capable of doing.
Yeah, that's man. The start of that question is hilarious. I'm just going to play the start of this clip again because you can see Kyle trying to find the words. I'm just going to play like the first part of this clip because I think it's hilarious. Watch Kyle try to process mentally how he wants to explain who Elijah Mitchell is.
Elijah is such an
I love it, right? Like you can tell Shanahan loves this guy, obviously, but like, yeah, it's not the clear cut. Oh yeah, this is what he does. This has been a huge change in Kyle Shanahan. If you're talking about evolution of what Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers want, consistency and efficiency, and it's everywhere. Offensive line play, running backs, wide receivers, quarterback, defensive line. And I can give you examples on those, right? Jawan Jennings, what he was able to do when Sanu came back from his injury, it didn't matter because Jennings was so consistent, right? You look at Samson Ebukam, who a lot of the fans are like, yeah, I don't know, maybe we move on. Hell no. His snap counts kept going up. His production kept going up. Guess what? Never missed a tackle. Linebacker position. Greenlaw over Aziz. Why? Consistency. Look at the back end. Talanoa Hufanga over Tart or, whatever. Missed tackles. That's a big deal. Consistency is such a big deal. Look at the running back going from somebody like Mostert and Breida to Elijah Mitchell. Efficiency. Chain moving. Look who they've drafted, right? Trey Sermon, TDP. These are chain movers. That's what they want. Now, the question here, Kali, does Mitchell get 1,000 yards? It's going to be tough. His issue is going to be health. Yes, it is set up for him to be even more efficient with a running quarterback. We're going to do, I'm working on a breakdown now over on Patreon, which, Kali, I know you support us there, and I appreciate that, my friend. Our Football 101 series, the zone read and running game with a mobile quarterback and non-mobile quarterback. So I've been working on clips and getting that. It just takes a long time to get it all processed and together. But that's one of the next Football 101 series that we're going to have. And the fact that you have a mobile quarterback freezes the backside linebacker. So even though it's a run play to Elijah Mitchell, the backside linebacker can't over pursue. He has to wait and make sure Trey Lance gives the ball away. And so it creates a bigger crease on that backside cutback, which is a staple of the outside zone, which is everything that Kyle Shanahan's entire offense is predicated upon. So yeah, I think the efficiency could even go up. And I think the big explosive plays could go up. So yeah, I do think 1,000 yards is in the realm of possibility. He's got to stay healthy. He broke his ribs, I think, 3 times last year. Had a knee issue as well, but he got those cleaned up. He's out there. I like Elijah Mitchell a lot. Yeah, I own him in my dynasty league. So like I'm a big Elijah Mitchell guy. I really, really am. But let's look behind and look at Kelly. She says, I think we have 2 800-yard running backs. That's what Kyle Shanahan wants. You've heard Shanahan talk about a 1-2 punch. You've heard John Lynch talk about a 1-2 punch. You've heard Anthony Lynn talk about a 1-2 punch. That is what they want. And the best news maybe of all of camp, Trey Sermon has started to look really damn good. And he has taken those number 2 reps. Here's Kyle Shanahan when asked about Trey Sermon and the difference between what he did last year and this year. This is huge. This is the most positive thing ever said about Trey Sermon from the head coach.
Definitely. His first 4 runs that we had Trey sees it good. It's just about hitting it without any hesitation. Those holes in the NFL close a lot faster than they do in college. And I think that was something Trey learned the hard way his first year. And he's got the film. He's got the experiences that happened. And you want to see how he is the first day you put pads on. And we didn't have to remind him, which is cool. That means he learned a lot from last year, and he's been thinking about it all offseason. He's built his body to handle it. And most importantly, you can tell his mindset's there. And we've seen it in practice. And I can't wait to see it in these games coming up.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. Can't wait to see it in these games coming up. So if you're one of those people that bet like preseason games and stuff, which I did, I bet the Hall of Fame game because I'm a crazy person, just for fun. I only bet like a couple bucks. But anyway, if you're one of those people that does like preseason fantasy or bets, Trey Sermon's going to get some work, guys. He's got to prove to himself. He's got to prove to the team. He's got to prove to the coaching staff that he's going to be a guy. So like, yeah, I think that's really, really important. And one of the things I want to see, Jordan Mason, yeah, watch out for that guy, because I'm telling you right now, there's a chance that dude's going to be a star. I know I've been on the bandwagon Jordan Mason the whole time, but when every single beat reporter keeps talking about how this dude just looks the part, yeah, we'll see. He's going to get a lot of carries. He's going to get a lot of work. Now, before we transition to another offensive position, do want to take time just to say 49ers Rush Road Trip is shaking out beautifully well. We're going to every single away game this year. You can get your tickets, 49ersrushroadtrip.com. We've got our Chicago 2 parties. Party the night before is going to be incredible. Then we've got our tailgate right next to the planetarium right on Michigan, Lake Michigan, and right in between the stadium. Going to be awesome. Unlimited beers and brats before the game, and we're going to have drinks after the game to celebrate in the parking lot as well. Then Denver's going to be nonstop crazy. We got Frank Gore coming out, meet the legend himself, autographs, all that kind of stuff. And then we're throwing a crazy party right before the tailgate because you remember Denver, that's a Sunday night football game. So we're going to be tailgating freaking all day, watching the previous games, unlimited drinks, food, all that kind of stuff. Again, you can get all these tickets. 49ersrushroadtrip.com if you want to come party with us and what that is. And, for a lot of the events, I probably need to clarify this, and I want to. If we don't have a player come out, because those are huge expenses, I don't want money to ever be an issue to not party. It's community first always. So if you're one of those people that just like, hey, John, I can't pay $30 for a ticket or whatever, that's cool. That's cool. I want you to come out and have a good time with us. Now, however, with agents, like with Frank Gore thing, that's not on me. Like the agents, we have to negotiate prices to get in and all those things. But like for Chicago, if you're one of those people that just wants to come hang out and, not participate in the raffles and the giveaways and the trivias and all that stuff, come on out, guys. Money will never be a factor in building this community. I try to cover some of my expenses, which, costs quite a bit, thousands of dollars to throw these parties, which is awesome because, some of that money comes back and whatever else. But again, if you're one of those people that's like, I just can't, traveling and buying the ticket and all those things, man, reach out to me. It's important to me to build a community first. Everything else is second. Unfortunately, I do have to pay my bills and feed my family, but that's not going to exclude anybody from hanging out. Now, the Frank Gore thing, that's a little different. That's out of my hands. But if you want to come hang out, trust me, we want you there. That's very, very important. Now, let's transition to wide receiver. And the fight and all that kind of stuff and, whatever else. But I want to focus on just Trey Lance because I don't know, man. I think it's crazy what Trey Lance and Brandon Aiyuk have built. I got to give credit to not obviously Brandon Aiyuk, but Fred Warner, Jimmy Ward, those guys chirping every single day at minicamp, every single day at training camp at Brandon Aiyuk, targeting him, picking on him. And why, right? Yeah, you heard Fred Warner. We played this in a previous episode where he's like, because I think he's ready to take that breakout year. This is somebody that was in the doghouse last year. But Brandon Aiyuk has answered every single question, every single call, both literally and physically, with fists and punches and receptions and all those things. Listen to Jimmy Ward, captain, defensive leader, longest tenured 49er, amazing human being. That's just awesome. Listen to him. He was asked, why do you think Brandon Aiyuk's having such a good camp? This clip is unreal.
That's why they got the fight. I love to see BA fight. I'm just saying he's an aggressive guy, but we just need that every day, So because like right now he's having an outstanding camp. I feel like he's having the best camp out of everybody on the team, offense and defense. Well, okay, besides Bosa, Bosa gonna be Bosa, but I'm just saying like BA is taking his game to another level. It's crazy. I didn't win a one-on-one rep with him yet. And like I want to say last year, it was a couple reps that I won against him, but not this year. I'm gonna get him soon though.
And again, this is from somebody that's literally bullying Brandon Aiyuk every day in practice. And to come out and say he's having the best camp of anybody except Bosa, well, Bosa going to be Bosa. He's a different human being. But Aiyuk is going to be a problem. I'm with you, Kelly. Thank you. He has stepped up. We talk about Debo and the Holden and all those things. He missed that first, week or whatever. Like, Aiyuk has seized this opportunity tremendously. And that's coming off of one of the incredible last 8 games of the season. He was awesome. He had more receiving yards than Debo did. Now, Debo was working in the backfield, whatever, and not trying to turn this into an Aiyuk versus Debo thing. But he's ready, and he has dominated camp. You see all those Trey Lance highlights, almost every damn one of them's going to Brandon Aiyuk. Too early Aiyuk stat prediction. Man, I have my notes on my other stat predictions. I need to scroll through them and find those out. But I do think that he's going to have a 1,000-yard season. I really, really do. His first 1,000-yard season. I think that's coming for sure, just because the perfect blend of play style and complementary quarterback strengths and weaknesses, right? Deep ball, that's where Aiyuk shines. You see all these highlight clips and all those things. Yeah, it's Trey outside the pocket or Trey throwing deep. That's who Aiyuk was at Arizona State. That's who Aiyuk was last year. But, Jimmy, those aren't his strengths. He has other strengths, and those match with Debo. Those match with Kittle. Trey's strengths match with Aiyuk. There's no doubt about that. Kelly, let's all think of this, and it's early, but Lance gets 80 to 90% of RG3 rookie season. Whoa, I'm stoked. Yeah, RG3 won, rookie of the year over Andrew Luck that year, which was an impressive year by both those quarterbacks. It's built for Trey. It really, really is. And Aiyuk has seized the opportunity. Now, I do want to take a step back in the whole Bosa being Bosa thing. Playing clips of Nick Bosa at the press conference crack me up just because his personality is just so freaking, it's almost like Eeyore, back with he's just womp womp. He's not sad. It's just who he is. But here's Bosa talking about camp so far. God, he cracks me up, man.
Yeah, it's been completely different. Last year, I didn't really take any reps until a couple weeks before the year. So just being able to get out there and have my body adapt to playing football has been, it's been the most enjoyable camp that I've been a part of, because I feel good, which makes everything a lot better.
He's just yeah, it's the best camp I've ever had. Everything's better, blah, blah, blah. It's just awesome. Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, here we go. Look at this. Mosquito, appreciate you, man. Just seen Kingsbury place his running back coach on leave. More drama in Arizona, the worst offseason ever. Yeah, it's 2 counts of domestic battery. And that was an incident from May. So it's something they knew about. I don't want to jump to too many conclusions. That's just what I'm seeing there. But yeah, I mean, again, we're taking a break here from Dyer's content. We'll return briefly. We just had a quote, at the press conference. Kingsbury let Kyler Murray call plays in practice. And he said, again, I want to find the exact quote because I think this is just freaking absolute insanity. Here we go. Kingsbury on allowing Kyler Murray to call plays on Saturday's practice. Quote, this is Kingsbury talking about Kyler Murray. Quote, I just wanted him to know that, hey, this, shit ain't easy. Every now and then he starts shaking his head when I'm calling it in there. And I'm like, all right, go ahead, big dog, end quote. Good God. Are you freaking kidding me? You just signed this guy to all these, whatever. He's already had arm fatigue and has had to sit several practices. He's already, the film clause, take the film clause out. Now you're bashing him publicly to people. Now you're running back coach, the worst run franchise in pro sports. Now, do they have some talent there and they win some games? Yeah. Go ahead, big dog. Yeah. It's bad, man. The Cardinals are a freaking joke. And I'm so happy that Kingsbury got an extension. I hope he is there forever. Yeah, it's bad, man. Raphael, not going to lie, I used to hate Bosa's pressers, but he's gotten better. I crack up the whole time watching, Nick Bosa, his press conferences. They're different. they're different. Flynn says, I need a 97 jersey that has Eeyore as the name. Yeah, some people that follow the team closely get that. They'll be like, that's hilarious. But yeah, he's got that personality, just oh yeah, well, all right. Most of the time he's even horizontal. He's never even at attention. Anyway, let's jump back now to Jimmy Ward. And I thought this was very, very interesting. They ask every single player that goes up there about Trey Lance. How's he doing? And they talk about his play and all those things. Jimmy Ward hit on something different. And I thought that this was really, really important just on the effect Trey Lance has had as a teammate in keeping the team together.
Man, he brings the team together. He hasn't broke down the team yet, but I don't feel like he has to right now. I think he'll do that. He'll do that when he's ready. But as in just talking to everybody, relating to everybody, I haven't seen him Well, I seen him mad a little bit, but not really. I can't really tell. He has a great poker face. So, but I just feel like he's being a phenomenal teammate and, bringing all of us together.
Freaking, that's good news, man. Phenomenal teammate, bringing us all together. That's pretty damn good from a 22-year-old rookie quarterback. And if you don't know Jimmy Ward, he's not the type of person to just say something. That's not who he is. He is not a sunshine rainbow guy. He's going to say exactly what is on his mind. And so you take those words with weight. And I think that's important. Now, I want to we're going to transition now to Kyle Shanahan's coaching tree and talk a little bit about his father and what that looks like. But before we do, I want to remind everybody, we're doing something different today at 3:30 p.m. We're releasing one of our 49ers Rush originals. The premiere's already set. If you want to check that out on YouTube, watch that live with us at 3:30 today. And then tomorrow, 3:30 p.m., we have our Patreon-only live show with 49ers Rush Cutback. Make sure you catch that. That's only going to be available for Patreon members, so go check that out. We've revamped everything on Patreon, so go check that out, patreon.com/49ers Rush Podcast. Now, Shanahan was asked this morning, about what it's like coaching without Mike McDaniel. I apologize. There's only one of them. There's not two of them. I love Mike McDaniel, and I catch myself watching some of his pressers with Miami because he's just so freaking awesome, talking about Yeezys and all this kind of different stuff. Like, Mike McDaniel's incredible. I miss him. I'm not going to lie. I really miss him. And I think Kyle does too. And so Kyle got asked, like, what's different this year than last year, because Mike McDaniel has been with you forever. And Shanahan, he flexed a little bit here. And I really like this flex on his coaching tree and how, make no mistake, this has always been Kyle. And he even has somebody that was around even before Mike McDaniel.
It's been different. He's been there for so long, so he's got always got to bounce stuff off of. He prepares a lot of my meeting stuff for me. So it's been good going through this offseason, just having to train some other guys to do that. Clay Kubiak's done an awesome job preparing a lot of the film and stuff like that. And he's got, I had him on defense last year and just brought him to offense this year. And I've thrown a lot at him and just see what he can do. And it's been great. And Chris Furster, who's always been, him and I and Washington together is really what started with this run game. And, Mike, we brought there our second year in Washington, and Mike was a pass game guy, but those roles were filled up. I had Sean McVay as my quality control, then moved him to tight end coach. I had Matt LaFleur as my quality control coach, moved him to quarterback. So I put Mike with the run stuff with Chris. So Chris helped Mike so much to where then when Mike and I went to Cleveland and Atlanta and Chris wasn't there, we were able to do stuff and keep building off it. And then we were so fortunate to get Chris back here that it's kind of been always the same. And now losing Mike, Chris has had to step it up in some areas which has been great because he was always there as the original guy. So it's been fun to get back with him more and talking more with him, and I'm really having his imprint on stuff the more we go.
There you go. The original, guy that was there before Mike McDaniel, before McVay, before those guys, right? Like, that's the idea. And I don't think that people place enough emphasis on how important Chris Forster is to Kyle Shanahan. I think you're looking at coaches, the regard in which we hold Kusarek, the defensive line coach, rightfully so. Forster is that for Shanahan as well. So I think that's important. Yeah, I saw the Brandon Marshall question. So there were a couple former players that jumped into the press conference today, Brandon Marshall and Adam Pac-Man Jones, talking about it. Marshall basically asked this really long question and brought it into Dad Shanahan, right? Mike Shanahan, whenever he was at Denver, and how his go-to play was for Brandon Marshall to run this certain route. And the question was asked, what's your go-to route? And Kyle basically said, yeah, it's like that, but better. It's that play, but with options, which I really, really liked. And then Adam Pac-Man Jones asked, I cut this clip. Who's a player or somebody that you kind of took almost all your tricks or swag or personality or methods from? And here's Kyle's response.
I took everything from my dad. I never worked with my dad to Washington, which throws a lot of people off. So, I mean, I never worked at the Broncos, but just like you guys see my son up here all the time, right? That's how I was. I mean, I was hopping in one-on-ones during mini camp coming back from college, and I'm sure that was illegal, but they can't find them now. So, I mean, I just grew up all around it. And so you're around it all the time, and I was always trying to be a player. But then once you get into coaching, and I feel my style was more like my dad's, not because you're naturally trying to, because that's just what I was around all the time, and I respected the hell out of them. But when it comes to your style or your swag or stuff, that has to do with your friends and the people you hang around and people you go to high school with, people you go to college with. And because I don't try to emulate anyone, I just try to be who I've always been. And that's usually the people you associate yourself with.
It's freaking awesome, man. It's incredible. And I think the staff replicates that as well with guys like Anthony Lynn, guys like Brian Greasy, people that had a relationship with his dad. And yeah, right there, Mosquito. Kyle had a smile on his face the entire time. And I'm thankful that he had the childhood that is so positive that he can remember it that way. People don't understand how hard coaching is. You know, the majority of almost all my best friends are coaches or former coaches. That's hard. You get, especially down, in Texas and the college level and big time high school level, you're moving all the time and your kids got to move with you. And the hours, I had a bed in my office, I slept there at least twice a week throughout the entire season, all the freaking time. That's not easy. And a big reason why, for people that are relatively newer to this show, that's why this podcast got started. Because of family and father-son relationships. When my wife and I became foster parents, it became very evident there was no way in hell I was going to be able to spend multiple nights at my office working 90 hours a week. First year we got both our boys, they both got expelled from school. Like I couldn't, be at my school for all that time and neglect, what was going on at home life. So the people that can balance that and have the home structure to do so, man, hats off to them. Found out pretty early that wasn't for me. And so whenever I got out of coaching, that's where this podcast was born, over 6 years ago. Was all right. Football's been a part of my life in a very positive way. I want to continue to support that. How do I do that and still be at home? Well, 49ers Rush was the answer. And it took 6 years of grinding weekends and nights and stuff after teaching and all that stuff to get to the point where it was like, all right, this is now my full-time employment. But yeah, I'm not going to lie, jealous and happy seeing Kyle Shanahan remember those things with that smile on his face. And I freaking love it. I freaking love it, man. I love this community. And I love I'll be honest, and this is going to be kind of the last clip of the show, and I've really enjoyed today's show. I really enjoyed today's press conference. I really enjoy the feel of what it's like heading into 2022. I cannot remember maybe that maybe that second year with Hardball. I cannot remember this much promise and this much excitement and energy around a 49ers training camp. And I've been covering this team a while. And I'll let Trent Williams talk about it. This is Trent Williams on the 49ers front office and kind of his time with the Niners.
Yeah, I've been around. Yeah, of course. That's been the case the last 2 years. So, yeah, the team just keep getting better. The front office, man, is amazing. The guys that they continue to bring in, and they might sign somebody you never heard of, and when they get here, you understand why they signed them. And that's, to me, I think that's a nuance of the business that I think gets lost. I think everybody gets so enamored with the new prospect and the guys who had a nice college career and those, following the path to the draft. And, if it's a person you never heard of, maybe went to a small school, I think a lot of us just say, they're just development guys. And I think you go through the draft year in and year out, and you're seeing people that come from small schools that can really play, and they can play really well, and they can really help a team. And so I like to see that this organization turns over every stone before they just say, we're going to take this player.
You feel that, man, and the roster is peppered with them. And it's been incredible. You look at favorite players, whether it's, Emmanuel Mosley, Azeez Al-Shire, Daniel Brunskill from the AAF, all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's different. Now, okay, Kelly, here we go. We always get excited at the beginning of the year, but there's something brewing special this year. Something special. I love it. I'm with you. Now, do I have the 49ers winning the Super Bowl? I don't this year. I'm going to be really honest with you. Do I have them as a Super Bowl contender making the playoffs? Yes, making a deep run in the playoffs. I do. I think it's going to take Trey some time. And, you know, I don't like Patrick Mahomes. He's really, really good, right? You look at what Patrick Mahomes did, right? Sat for a year, stepped in on a playoff caliber team for the Chiefs. His first year starting, made it to the AFC Championship, but he didn't start doing the crazy things that Mahomes did until after that third year. And so, like, you're hoping for something like that. I'm not projecting that, but, like, that's the great Patrick Mahomes, right? And, you know, Trey Lance is younger than Mahomes was at that point and had a lot less experience than Mahomes had at that point. But, yeah, there's a lot of parallels. And I would be very happy with those parallels continuing to match up. Very happy about this year. I'm pumped, guys. I mean, I know that I get labeled as like the positive guy and whatever else, and that's cool. If you're not happy and excited right now for this season, you got to check your polls, because you got to look back to Chip Kelly, Jim Tomsula, Dennis Erickson for you older folks. We're lucky to be where we are now. We're lucky to be. Enjoy this. Enjoy this. And hopefully you enjoyed today's show. Appreciate everybody. Want to say thank you to James W. and 49er George, the executive producers of the show. Shout out to Clayton, the man behind the scenes, keeping everything running so smoothly. He is the freaking man. And thank you to you guys. Really appreciate y'all. And until next time, stay strong, faithful.